Hi, I'm Monica. I am an astrologer and tarot reader based here in Albuquerque. And sorry, um, I'm just I'm just putting a video out there again, because I said I would. I posted a little note that I'll be doing one today, and it's still today. I put a note maybe by 8 o'clock, and then now it's 3, so yeah, I had plenty of time to do this. So, okay, so my last live video was actually about Mercury retrograde, which is significant for a lot of people's lives. But it occurred to me that I probably gave some misunderstanding of actually this whole spring's energy. Because this spring starting from like March 8th, going into May and even to June, the a lot of planets and asteroids are going retrograde. They're going into new signs. They're just moving along, and so to if you're thinking that, oh, what's going crazy in my life right now is Mercury retrograde, that's probably not it, because there's so much going on that it's a combination. It's like it's really just like a whole mess of excitement. And for some of these things, there's a lot of apprehension in certain astrological communities, and like among tarot readers who are metaphysicians who are familiar with astrology, but not all the in-depth details. There's a little bit of apprehension for this spring and this summer. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually kind of excited. It has been stressful. Change is always stressful. I definitely, I definitely understand that. However, sometimes things change because they need to be changed, and we either sit here sitting miserable, or we make a change to fix it, and we don't really know how those changes are going to be unless we take those steps to do something about it. So, like, the first thing that I want to point out is that Mercury's not the only retrograde planet. And he's not even retrograde yet. He won't go retrograde until the 22nd. So we're in the foreshadow or the pre-shadow, which still, it's like everything you're doing now, you're going to have to redo after, I think, April 13th or May 3rd. Like, you have April 13th, May 3rd to like fix everything that you messed up this time. And Mercury retrograde is a reminder to do your best. You should always, do your best. Don't half do things. Don't half-ass anything, because then you end up having to clean up everything. So, but before, we entered the shadow, or actually the day that we entered the shadow, Jupiter went retrograde as well. So, the Earth where we live, I mean, we're barely specks. You can't even see a single person from space without like a regular telescope. Like, you know, Mercury's going retrograde over here, and then on the other side, Jupiter's going retrograde. The only two celestial bodies that we can see that don't go retrograde are the moon and the sun, because they're always sort of with us, and that's our two main dudes. So, and that's a reminder also that, when you consider astrology, you have to consider all these planets, and, astrologers have different opinions on which ones you should use, you know, and it's to each his own, I suppose. There's a lot of drama. I don't know. I don't understand it, because we get one, we get one view one way, we get another view another way, and then everybody on the outside who has no understanding thinks we're all crazy. So it's like, why fight? We should work together. Um, Sorry about the tangent. So yeah, Jupiter's retrograde. So, the sun and the moon, they're our main life forces on this earth. If the moon disappeared overnight, life on earth would change drastically. If the sun disappeared overnight, it would take us 8 minutes to for us to just go into like a nuclear winter, like to just totally have a space freeze and like fly off into space or something. So it's really, I don't know that the sun and the moon physically care. The flaming ball of gas and the giant rock that are floating out there. I don't know if they really care, like if we appreciate them, but I think we should. So this comes into a few things actually, because everything everything in the solar system revolves around the sun. And so sometimes things look like they're going backwards, and that affects us here. And it's a noticeable effect. So the same day that we entered the shadow, the foreshadow of Mercury retrograde, Jupiter went retrograde. And so things that have been digging up a lot, like they were dug up a lot over the summer. All these secrets, the Me Too movement, it's sort of, we're rehashing a lot of that information. And so really I think on a public scale, the most prominent form of viewing what Jupiter retrograde or reassessing the conversation is the current administration's difficulties with porn star Stormy Daniels. And that's a weird thing to like talk about, especially in presence of like consideration of our president. But this is something that we're going through. This is a change that we're digging up, that we have to look at, that we have to consider. And so as Jupiter goes retrograde, we're reconsidering all of these things that we were talking about over the summer. And also not just reconsidering, but refining them and getting not just deeper, but going over old information to look at it perhaps differently. And I'm not trying to go in depth into Jupiter retrograde, because the Jupiter went retrograde. Between then, the sun is gonna go into Aries. We just had the new moon in Pisces, which was actually kind of refreshing if you're very sensitive to energies like this. It was a very refreshing new moon. But then coming in a few days, we're going into Aries, Ostara, Easter, that celebration of the spring equinox, which is literally the Aries ingress. The sun goes into the Aries point. So our constellation, Aries, is actually not lined up to where we have the sign Aries. Some zodiacs go with the constellation, some zodiacs go with the sun's and the earth's dance, or our imagined dance with the sun. And so as the sun goes into Aries, we have to consider that we're starting a new year, a new cycle, a fresh new start, but we're also carrying all this baggage from last year. That includes some things that, I have to write these down because I don't remember dates. So that includes some things that we have to consider, like with Mercury going retrograde, its official retrograde date, like it's really going to look like it's going backwards, March 22nd. So like within a few days, there was the shadow period. It crossed that little marker. And Jupiter went retrograde in the sign that he's transiting right now. Well then, now we get to the actual retrograde. We're going into Aries ingress. Mercury's is already in Aries, and then he's gonna turn around and go back. He's like, oh, I forgot something. And then I don't know, it reminds me of people with kids when they have to go back and get like another shoe, and they have to get another book, and then somebody forgot this, and then somebody needs the bathroom, and it's like a mess. And it's very much, it's very much kind of a mess, but it's also like, okay, we could do this can get done, it just takes a little longer. That we're going to be dealing with that right through into April. That sort of, we want to get up and go. And that's literally why I chose that example, is because, when you're trying to leave somewhere, you're trying to get up and go, but then, you have to go back and do stuff and go back and get stuff, or you forgot your keys, or you have the wrong keys. Come April 15th, April 13th is actually the direct day, April 15th, April 13th, because actually Chiron will enter Aries that same day. So like we're looking at all these things, and there's Jupiter doing his thing, the sun doing his thing. The moon goes through the whole cycle of the zodiac in a month. It's hard to keep up with her, but if you do it, you're very present with the earth. You know, you're very present here and with yourself, and you'll notice like a 2 days change. April 15th, Chiron goes into Aries. Chiron's an asteroid, so I mean there's like 50,000 asteroids. Some of them are named, some of them are not. The astrologers have started watching them with gusto in some cases, and I personally will not read a chart without certain asteroids put in them, and one of those asteroids is Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. He's perpetually wounded because he was immortal, but he taught mankind how to heal themselves, and so one of the gifts that Zeus gave him was the ability to die. So the healer could not heal himself, and so, you know, it's also a reward for kindness unto others. The thing about Chiron and Aries is that like the cycle keeps on going and keeps on going. Hi Lila. I would totally be willing to do a relationship reading with you, but this live video is actually specific for this spring, so maybe contact me later. Thanks. So yeah, okay, Chiron and Aries. Chiron's been in Aries before. The last time it was in Aries was 1968 to 1977. I think that was the height of the violence of the Vietnam War. The time before that Chiron was in Aries was World War One. And so Chiron in Aries has a very ominous sensation to it. It makes people very nervous. And that's okay. We can be nervous about it. But we do also have to be prepared to realize this is what's happening. And thanks. Hi everybody for watching. So that's April 15th. Mercury's going direct, so we're going over all of these things over again. Like it's what we've been building up to, especially through this last year. We're going into this new springtime. And Jupiter's a major planet to be going retrograde. Chiron entering a new sign. He's been in Pisces since he entered Pisces with the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, and that literally the image of wounding healer is we recognize that we wound the oceans a great deal. And then following that, actually Uranus was in Aries, which he has been in. So all these Aries things are going on. The day that Uranus went into Aries, like the exact day, the nuclear plant in Fukushima had a meltdown. Uranus has done that cycle. At this point, we've contaminated 1/3 of our Earth's oceans with nuclear radiation because of that meltdown. And so we're going into Taurus. Like every other cycle, the beginning of Taurus mimics another cycle that we've already gone through. And that cycle, which goes through into May 15th, Uranus will actually be hitting the same points that we went through during the Great Depression. And so there's so much apprehension, but I think we've learned a lot because, you know, bees are endangered, but we're also willing to, there's so much information out there on how to save the bees. And so I think a lot of people are doing intention gardens this spring. I say double them, add flowers, because that's part of Uranus in Taurus. So, you know, it's not just the Mercury retrograde that could be affecting you. And the thing about all of these cycles is sometimes things line up together. Like planets or asteroids, or, you know, from our view, the sun and moon will be in the same sign. They'll actually get to the exact spot in alignment. They won't actually be touching each other. They'll just be on a straight line from our view here on Earth. So it's you know, there's our view here on Earth is the zodiac, and that's how we plan it. And we look at the zodiac as 12 signs. So that's a perfect circle divided by 12. So a perfect circle is 360 degrees. Divided by 12, that's 30 degrees to each sign. It fits. So Mars and Saturn are actually going to be getting onto the same degree. They're going to be touching each other, touching the same spot. So a lot of people are actually having headaches, and it's being blamed on the Aries ingress, the Chiron ingress into Aries. It's actually probably not that. It's the Saturn-Mars conjunction in Capricorn. It could be this, it could be that. It's all of this. And the thing about it is that babies born during this time will carry this with them. So, people who are born having terrible headaches, they're actually born during a period where a lot of people were having terrible headaches because of the transits. And so when you look at your own astrology, we look at your star sign, but we look at the snapshot of where all these planets were, and then they just keep going. And then we have this little snapshot of you. All of these things are happening. There's still other things going. April 17th, which is a full month before Uranus goes into Taurus. April 17th, Saturn will be retrograde. And I think I did my first video because I was annoyed that, Saturn going into Capricorn was going to be super good, or it was going to be super harsh because it did this. Saturn going retrograde is going to throw this monkey wrench for this spring as well. And it's going to take this year for everything to go to direct, but I think we really have learned and are available with the information to know what we can do to make a difference and to push this change in a positive direction. And then, May 3rd, the Mercury shadow ends. And that's where the conversation gets easier, in my opinion. It gets more direct. And so once that Mercury shadow ends, we're able to talk about all of this, more clearly, instead of redoing what we've been doing. I'm actually not doing readings in this live video, but I do readings privately, and I could do readings via live feed at a later date. I've never considered it. I thought people would want privacy or something, but you gotta check with me and later and send me a text or a message through the website, because the spring's gonna be pretty intense. And there's so much to astrology. It's hard to do an instant reading for people. I mean, we can kind of get an image of what we know is going on and where you were kind of born, but to do a good astrology reading, I have to map all of these planets to not just the zodiac, but also where the zodiac was on the position of Earth where you were born, on the time you were born. So as the Earth takes 24 hours for the eastern horizon to go through the entire zodiac. So it's literally the sun, even though it stays in right now it stays in Pisces. Pisces will move along our horizon. It literally just goes from the east to the west. And so Pisces will be on the eastern horizon at dawn, but at noon it'll be in the middle, at midnight it'll be where we can't even see it, but we know is there. So, instant astrology readings are actually kind of harsh. And that's part of the reason that looking at the spring's energies, it's good to know yourself and be comfortable with yourself. And that's why I wanted to say, that Mercury is not the only thing going retrograde. Mercury is not the only thing that's making life crazy right now. Part of it is just not just to go with the flow, but know what you're good at and know where you're good for yourself. And I'm trying to make this brief, but there's so much information. There's so much happening this spring. It's exciting. I'm excited. You know, if you're not ready for the change, if you're not ready to sort of dance with life, then life will dance with you. And it literally becomes, you know, that go or be dragged. And that's always harsh. So, you know, there's a lot of things going on. But you know what? Just go with the flow and work with it. You know, the human beings have survived on this planet for maybe 1,000,000 years, 100,000. We survived a great deal. We can make it through whatever is going on. We're also very prepared now. And part of that preparation is actually our interconnectedness and our ability to converse with each other, to share information. It's sharing ideas and information is one of the few things that you can share without losing anything. Like, for example, if you share an apple, you either have less of an apple that you originally had. If you share an idea, both people have ideas, and then there's like more ideas coming. It's one of the few things that multiply as they get shared. So this spring's gonna be crazy. That's all right. We can do this. And it's not gonna be crazy for everybody. Sorry, cats are being brats. It's not gonna be crazy for everybody. It's actually gonna be affecting different people differently, and certain generations differently. Millennials and baby boomers are going to be affected very much by Uranus and Taurus. I feel that, in my opinion, millennials are going to take Uranus and Taurus better than the baby boomers will. But that's just my opinion on both of those generational groups. So, you know, like it's not always harsh. It's who you are and how you deal with yourself and how aware you are of your situation. And how aware you are of yourself. I do readings. You can get a hold of me on Facebook. You can get a hold of me via my website, Star Sphinx. And I'm going to do a little video on why I chose Star Sphinx. And it's related to Uranus and Taurus. I also do readings on Purple Ocean. My name is Monica Guru on there. I could do 24-hour and 1-hour rush readings, but because I was born during Mercury retrograde, there's issues with getting the phone to ring to do live chat video readings through that website. So it's something that has to be corrected, and I will be doing live readings through that website. There's also like groups locally if you're here in Albuquerque. I know there's a Facebook group here on Facebook called Laughs, LAAFS. There's actually a very social group that's based on astrology discussions, and so it's not formal learning. It's more chit chat, and people are willing to just work with you on your chart if you want to learn more. And I totally recommend Laughs because they're a lot of fun. And I think that is the limit of what I have to say for now. I do readings. I don't do I don't go to people's homes anymore because that's weird. But I do readings via Skype, via Google Hangouts, over the phone. You can come to my home, or we can meet in a public place, and then and I also do readings via Purple Ocean. So this spring is going to be intense. It's going to be fun, and I really do hope that everybody's like prepared for the change. It's prepared for the movement. Thanks, and have a good day.